Hi, welcome to Meet the Artist. This program is brought to you by Hedberg Public Library and JATV Media Services. I'm your host, Teresa Nguyen. Meet the Artist features various local artists whose work will be on display in monthly exhibits at Hedberg Public Library. And in the studio today, we have the immensely talented Jennifer Sturgeon, our featured artist for the month of February. Welcome to the studio, Jennifer.
Well, thank you, Teresa. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes, this is exciting. So I want to know about your art journey and when you were younger or whenever, who has been your encourager, someone who noticed your art skills, boosted your confidence,
Yeah, well, thank you for asking. I mean, I would say throughout life, I've had many different influences. So I feel very lucky in that and fortunate to have had exposure to as many artists that I have, whether it was some are in the family, friends of the family. My older brother is also an artist.
Awesome.
So again, lots of influence that way. And the journey, I mean, when I was first really felt like I was noticed, I was in high school. My senior year in high school, I had basically needed an elective, and I was like, okay, I'll take some art. Best decision I ever made. My teacher was very, very encouraging. He actually even submitted a piece to a local show there in Seattle. That's the area I grew up. And it was great. I took 4th place. I had honorable mentioning. Yeah, it was very nice.
That really fills you up, doesn't it?
It does.
It
does.
Amazing.
And it really was a compliment and a surprise.
Yeah.
When I went to the luncheon that was part of it, seeing all these artists from around the greater Seattle area, and I guess we all have our different ways of critiquing art.
Right.
And so here I'm seeing these beautiful pencil sketches that look like a photograph, a black and white photograph. Wow. And I was like, then looked over at my, I thought kind of little fuddy-duddy watercolor abstract. And yet there I was in this room with you know, all these amazing, talented artists. So again, throughout life, I've had lots of different encouragements. So I've been very fortunate that way.
Do you remember the name of your art teacher?
Oh my gosh, I do. And Mr. Scheiderman.
Scheiderman.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Scheiderman, because look at Jennifer now.
Yes. He, I know, he would probably love my art.
And what you're doing with it. So the early piece that stands out in your mind was the pencil sketch, or was there something that you thought, wow, this is pretty neat?
Well, you know, it was really, the journey was all kind of by accident. Because of the talent that I saw with my older brother. I thought the family could only produce one per generation, and he was the artist. But as time came along, I found that I always was drawn to creativity, creating things, making things. And then it was by accident that I became a henna tattoo artist when I lived on the island of Maui.
Oh, wow.
And so I was drawing freehand art every day. It was my career. And I would say it was the 2nd year in that I realized I could probably call myself an artist. Because here I was having a career where I was actually creating art every day.
Right. So then, did you end up studying anywhere?
No, I'm a self-taught.
You're self-taught. Wow.
Yeah.
But you obviously have a natural talent, and you've learned techniques over the years, and I would say you could probably do anything. I mean, you put your mind to it.
Thank you.
And voila.
Yeah, and it's good to hear that, because I am wanting to step out and try new things. I've been working with the ink now for 7 years, still love it.
Yeah.
It's probably been the most passionate for me. Again, other mediums that I've worked with were like acrylic and watercolor. But it's the alcohol ink that really just jumped out at me and talked to me.
Awesome.
And now I'm looking again with moving forward, going back, looking at some ink on, I brought one piece with ink on tile today.
All right.
And then actually when I'm creating these vases, the paper that I use underneath, I'm now keeping. And I have some really fun ideas that I'm going to move forward with those.
Ooh,
so
I
things
like
that we can look forward to.
Look at you thinking outside the box.
Yes, thank you.
So, is there someone that you love in the art world that you look up to, like whether it be famous, you know, or do you have your favorites, or someone local even?
Yes, to all of the above. Being here in Janesville, I moved here about 5 years ago and became part of the Art League.
That's right.
And so many of the artists there have inspired me. For me to pick just one, I mean, is very challenging. And I enjoy what I'm seeing with the Art League because you're also seeing all these different types of mediums.
Right.
You know, I'm seeing beautiful oil works, and watercolors, pencils, the mixed medias.
Photography.
Yes, and the photography.
Yeah.
That's something I hope in the future to dabble with too.
Oh, cool.
So we'll see.
And that's how we met, through Art League.
Yes.
Which was, I don't know, about 4 years ago for me. And immediately I was drawn to your work, which we will talk about. But so your favorite medium has become the alcohol ink.
Yes.
And how did you discover that?
It was an artist that I saw her work over in, it was Northern California, Redding, California. I was there for a little while. It was a maybe I was going to move there. And anyways, I was at this wonderful little music festival.
Yeah.
And here was this really bright, vibrant art that I saw across the field at the artist craft area. So I had to,
Go check it out.
Trek over there, and I was just blown away. And I'm like, what are you using? What is this? And so the artist was sweet enough to share with me what she was doing. And I bought a piece from her. And I tucked it away because I was going to be traveling for a few years. My husband is a driver, truck driver, or was.
Okay.
So we got to travel the country. And anyways, I put that piece away and pulled it out when I moved here to Wisconsin and bought some ink. And that was 7 years ago.
Wow.
So it was
So
an
you
honor.
have explored all kinds of art.
I have, yeah. Yeah. I can't say I've done everything. I always meet somebody who is doing something different, or I guess one thing, it was wonderful. You and I recall having a chat about watercolors, and I was like, well, I like watercolors, but I don't think I use them right. And it was so sweet. You turned to me and you're like, I don't think that's possible. I was like, you're right. I just use them in my own technique.
Right, because there's no right or wrong when it comes to art. It's just whatever you do with the colors, or with the amount of water, or the way you move it on the paper is uniquely your own, and all art is uniquely ours, right? And
It's true.
And what you brought in today is certainly amazing. So we're going to talk about these.
Yes.
Let's start with this here. What's the process of creating something like this, and do you end up working toward an idea, or does that idea come to you after?
Most of the time, the idea happens while I'm creating the art.
Okay.
Yes. And that piece over where you see what I think looks like the sun up in the sky, that was 100% an accident.
Wow.
So it's been, this type of art has taught me to learn to be patient, and then also allow things to just happen and kind of see what's going to happen.
It's absolutely beautiful. And your color choices
are
so bright. It's very, very spring-like.
That one makes me think of a cherry blossom.
Right.
Yeah.
In its glory of blossoming. And the sun behind the clouds, they're just amazing.
Thank
and
you.
then over here, what happened with this one?
Well, that piece had been inspired by a friend of mine who, after taking a workshop with me, she came to one of my alcohol classes, and
Alcohol
ink class.
ink.
Yeah, alcohol ink class.
We're not talking about a drinking party.
I know, right, right. The ink class, and she did some amazing work. And her flowers that she had done were actually purple.
Okay.
So I didn't want to completely copy her. But I let it inspire me, and I made my own and went with the blue. Wow. And the blue is wonderful. I was trying to think afterwards, well, what's a blue flower? And I looked it up. Of course, the first one that popped up was Forget-Me-Not. Okay. And so this piece is the third one that I've done like this, and it was inspired by my friend Michelle Bush. Nice. And we lost her a year ago. Sorry. So it is even more appropriate with it being a Forget-Me-Not flower. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And it was her work that inspired me.
Right. Ah, she would love that.
I know. Yeah, she would.
And how do you create the form of the flower? And I love how the center almost has a depth to it.
It's fun. So sometimes I touch the glass,
okay.
But
with a brush.
I just drop the ink.
Okay. It's when you say you touch it.
Oh, so I'll sometimes I use, so the alcohol ink comes in a little bottle. Looks very much like a batiking bottle. Okay. So it has a little point and a tip. And so sometimes the art I'm just dropping ink. Other times I will actually touch the glass with the bottle. Okay. To try to give it a little guidance. All right. So basically I put the flower petals down. I normally start with a 5 point and then go from there. Adding petals, and then I do actually the center of the flower last. It actually will move. The lighter colors push the darker colors out of the way.
Wow.
And again, that was
fascinating how it's just perfect.
Isn't that wonderful? Yeah. I like how it can layer. And that was by accident. Again, when I first bought the ink, I had 3 colors. I went with primary colors. Figured, well, I'll just play and mix them. Found that you can mix the ink prior to applying it to the glass. Okay. And sometimes there will be on the glass some mixing. Right. But it doesn't just,
create a solid.
Exactly. It'll push.
Like right in here you get a little bit of an aqua tone from the mix of the greens and the blues, but it's just beautiful.
Thank you.
And then you've applied it to some vases.
Yes, yes, and it's a lot of fun. Again, very relaxing. This art is something that I like because you can add a little bit. You want to let it dry. So what I'll do is I'll set up at my kitchen table and put some color on either a piece of glass or the vase, and then I can walk over and do a few dishes. And then I can come back, take a look at it.
And you do this as it's sitting there vertical?
Yes, either this way. I have also done it upside down. Okay. And then I teach workshops with this. And I've even had, some of my students do it from the side. And again, I always encourage to, have fun with it. There's no right or wrong.
That's a nice piece to have for stemmed flowers because sometimes, the water gets murky or the stems get kind of not so appealing, but that would be hidden in this beautiful vase of color.
Exactly.
And then this gorgeous.
Thank you. This is the newest piece. This one for sure will be going into the exhibit here, the show next month.
Awesome.
And it really, exactly what it is, I'm not sure.
Do you have a title for it?
Not yet. Not yet. I just finished it 2 days ago.
It's very dramatic.
It is. It is. Originally, when I started this piece, many times I have an idea, but whether or not it becomes that, we'll just find out. Yeah. So originally it was going to be more centered, maybe with a mandala, with, lots of different colors, like our chakra colors. Yeah. But this is what I ended up with. And I think I almost see a koi. That's one I've been trying to work on a lot. Yes. I haven't perfected a koi yet, but one day. And anyways, it speaks a lot to me, so that's why I brought it. I really love the vivid colors in it. And it almost, what I enjoy about the ink is that it has almost a stained glass look. Many
it
times,
really does.
I'll describe it as watercolor meets stained glass.
Yes.
They merged, and this is what happened.
And I see movement in it, and everyone would see something different, I think, in a piece like this.
It is. And this one, what I enjoy working with squares. I don't always do it, as of course the tree is pretty much up and down. But I do create these pieces. Many times it just happens
Look at
that it's
that.
really balanced on all four sides.
That is
So I
awesome.
allow
I really see the fish
Yep.
now.
Whoever takes it home gets to decide which way it's going to
Yes,
go.
yeah.
So this one, I actually signed in both corners. So they have that option.
Very clever.
And I had it on my mantle at home, and I think every day I've turned it on how I felt. So
Okay.
it was kind of fun.
Yeah, it really does have a different appeal with each direction.
Each turn, right?
Yes. And then, Jennifer,
Yes.
this is lovely. Tell me the story about this.
Oh, isn't that fun? So I was invited to give an alcohol ink class at a stained glass shop here in Janesville.
All right.
The Glass Garden.
The Glass Garden.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that introduced me to using then the ink on a tile. And I just love how it works and looks, the final product. It moves a little different than it does on the glass. And I do always share at my workshops that I let people, depending on how our environment is too, if it's summer or winter, the ink moves differently too.
So was it already a glazed piece of tile?
It's a glazed piece,
Okay.
yeah. So the ink moves really well when you have kind of this nice shiny or
Sure. Smooth.
oh my gosh, smooth
surface.
surface. Thank you. That's what I was looking for. And it was a lot of fun. So it introduced me to doing the ink on tile now.
Nice. And you teach classes?
I do teach classes.
And what types of art class?
The art classes, I introduce people into, a lot of it is with the alcohol ink on the glass.
Okay.
So I've had classes where they come in and they can create their own piece. Or I've also done it with vases.
Do they bring in their pieces, or you provide?
I provide, I
yeah.
provide the alcohol ink. I pretty much provide all the supplies that they're going to need. And then that way they just get to show up and create something and then be able to take it home with them as well.
Oh, nice. How long does it take for something like that to dry?
To touch, it's normally dry in about 30 minutes.
Really? That's fast.
Yeah. Of course, it depends on the weather. Summertime, it might take a little longer because of the humidity.
Yeah, sure.
Right now, because we're very, cold and dry,
Right.
it dries fast. But I normally recommend giving it at least 24 hours, 12 to 24 hours to dry completely.
Yeah.
And I do then spray them down with a sealant.
Okay.
And that way it keeps them a little more
I
protected.
love the colors in this here too. And how do you decide your colors? Do you have
I don't
your
really...
mood, whatever mood you're in?
Yeah.
Love that. And the little lights inside, how fun. So if you were to give advice, say, to someone watching the show, and a young artist or anyone, any age, wanting to try some alcohol ink on glass, where do they begin?
Well, I mean, if they're in the area, they can come to one of my workshops.
Come to
I would love
Jennifer
to, or
Sturgeon's
even
class.
exactly, or privates. I'm happy to do private consultations, and then also I started going to the Goodwill where I bought a used frame, and then I went to the art shop and picked up some alcohol ink. And I use the glass that's right in the frames.
Okay.
So that's a nice, easy way and a great way to upcycle. Maybe you have an old frame at home.
Right.
And just do it. Just try it. And see what the art's going to do. Or, excuse me, what the ink's going to do.
Right.
It moves around, not always how you think it's going to. It might go in an area that you didn't want it to.
So you have to be open to the process.
Yes, it's when I practice Bob Ross's, no mistakes, only happy accidents. So that's,
I like that.
Yes, that's where I say, watch some Bob Ross also, and he'll remind you that it's really just making the art, and you can then, go from there, let it grow.
Right, let it grow and let it speak to you in its own way, right? Tell me about some of your exhibits. So with the Janesville Art League, you exhibit at JPAC.
Yes, yes. I'm always with their holiday show.
Okay.
So every Christmas or around the holidays, there's the art show with the Art League at JPAC. Other places that you can view my art and purchase it is with the Rotary Gardens.
Okay.
Here in Janesville.
Wonderful.
And many times with the Tolman Lincoln House.
Sure.
Right now they have an exhibit coming up, so we're going to be pulling out some of the pieces, but
Right. Sure.
I'm hopeful that we'll be able to get back in there.
Very nice. Or is that in the museum center or is that in the house?
The gift shop.
In the gift shop,
Yep.
right.
Yep.
And I see you also have some cards, too.
Yes.
Where do we find Jennifer Sturgeon's
Well, that is
cards?
great. You know what? I am still putting together where you can purchase it
Okay.
online, and finding actually a venue where I can have them. But you can always contact me direct, and any of my work can be reproduced. So I am doing the actual printing at home.
Awesome.
And you can see, really, they do reproduce very nice. That piece that's over there, the tree,
Yeah.
that is actually a print.
Very nice. Wow.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, so to choose pieces for Hedberg, was that a challenge to do?
You know, I let the location of where I'm going to be choose what I'm going to create. I will be in their glass display.
Oh, the 360.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes, and so that is one reason why you're seeing several shadow boxes. Because my plan with many of them is I'm going to make it so that you can remove the back as well.
Awesome.
And see the art from both sides.
Fantastic.
So that it was, I guess that's the challenge, but it was a happy one. I was really pleased once we were figuring about where I would be located, and they asked me if that area would work, and right away that
the
idea.
lighting is so good in that case.
Yes.
So it's going to pick up all these wonderful colors and the bright palette that you gravitate toward. I love that. And you'll be able to bring in some physical vases and various things that you've poured on.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. It's going to be a beautiful presentation, I think, of all the work that I'm doing right now.
Yay, we're excited. Are you excited for this?
I am very excited. It's really an honor to be part of it and to have this opportunity to share my work.
Yeah. Well, we're so happy you came here to do this interview with us and allowing our viewers to get to know the artist behind the beautiful work you see here and the display. So thank you for coming in today, Jennifer.
Well, thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Absolutely. We invite you to come visit the library this month to check out Jennifer's exhibit. And if you'd like to learn more about Jennifer Sturgeon's gorgeous artwork, you can find her information displayed on your screen. Thank you all for joining me today. Please check out this program on JATV Media Services Spectrum Cable Channel 994. You can also find it on JATV's YouTube channel. Remember, don't wait for another day. Go out and make some wild, whimsical, wonderful art. I'm your host, Teresa Nguyen. I'll see you next time on Meet the Artist.